At first, I just thought the Majority Report's views on Andrew Yang and UBI were filled with misunderstandings, and I dropped this issue on my live stream after just saying this would all be cleared up if they had Andrew Yang on their show. But after some new information is dropped, I'm now convinced that they are blatantly biased and actively withholding information from their 600,000 viewers. What I'm referencing here is the recent discovery that the Majority Report held an interview with the well-known advocate for UBI, Scott Santens, in 2017, but for one reason or another have decided not to publish that interview. When this Twitter user tweeted at Sam requesting that he have Scott on his show, Scott himself said, quote, "I'd be happy to talk to Sam again if he agrees to first post our last conversation he never posted. I don't want to do another podcast episode that just disappears into the ether." You may be thinking at this point, hey, Sam's probably a very busy guy, and it's well within his rights to choose what to publish and what not to publish, and if anything, he probably just forgot about the interview that they had. I'm going to give my response to that hypothetical situation after reading this post where Scott clarifies a little more in detail what happened. Scott says, quote, "Yep, we recorded on January 19th, 2017. We spoke for about 20 minutes. It was for his show. I thought it was just another podcast appearance. It's not like we argued or anything. It was just a standard conversation about UBI as far as I was concerned. Weirdly, I never heard from him again. Usually I get an email thanking me for my time and maybe asking me for some links. Never got that. Usually I get an email when the podcast episode is posted with a link to help share it. Never got that. So for at least a few weeks after, I just checked his site on occasion to see if it was posted. It never was. Eventually, I just stopped checking. A few times since, I've remembered and checked again, but I've never found anything. He has a few keywords for basic income, and you can see there's only one episode posted with it, which was with Carl Widerquist in 2015. So I'm pretty sure it was just never posted. The question is why? Well, a clue is listening to Carl's episode. Here's a quick review of it. Remember, this was in 2015, 2 years prior to my episode. So just to interject here for 1 second, this is not a review from Scott. This is a review from some individual named Frank, I believe. Anyways, it says, "Widerquist is brilliant, but probably not the best advocate for the BIG, that's the basic income guarantee. This wasn't the problem with the show, however. The problem with Seder was with Seder, who remained amazingly resistant to the idea. His complaint that he talked about long after Widerquist had left seems to be that he thinks it to sound too good to be true. Somehow it must all be a complicated and perhaps even a Trojan horse to destroy the welfare state. But that is not what this is about. The BIG would be a way of creating a new welfare state, a more humane welfare state. And the BIG would be the basis of it. The trap that Seder is falling into is that he's hearing a lot of different ideas for how the BIG could be structured. That's because a lot of really smart people are working on it. There are a lot of different ways to implement it." Scott goes on to say, "Here's what I think in retrospect. I think I may have sounded too convincing that UBI was a great idea. Either that or he felt he came off sounding badly in comparison. Either way, he decided that posting what I said was not something that he wanted to do. It was always kind of a mystery to me, but recently seeing him doing what he's doing to Yang, it makes a lot more sense. I think he recorded an episode that, if shared with his audience, would have made them too excited about a universal basic income, and because he thinks it's a Trojan horse, he prevented his listeners from hearing my take." What Scott is saying right here confirms a suspicion that I've talked about on my live stream before. I believe the Majority Report is just blatantly biased against a universal basic income at its core. Sam Seder believes UBI to be a ploy to harm poor people, and he's so cemented in this belief that he refuses to publish any perspective that might put a universal basic income in a light other than it being a neoliberal centrist plot to destroy poor people. I say to the Majority Report, your 600,000 viewers deserve to hear your podcast with Scott Santens. At the very least, you should have Andrew Yang on your show. And until that happens, your attacks on a universal basic income are just going to be viewed as disingenuous and crafted to serve your own agenda.